It shouldn't have been a shock that an 88-year-old man in poor health passed away. However, the world has seemed shocked that Pope Francis has passed away. The timing of his passing was curious. Some said it happened on Easter. Technically, it was what's called Easter Monday. Easter Monday is known as the second day of Eastertide and is a public holiday in more than 50 predominantly Christian countries. Pope Francis has been emphasizing the importance of Easter 2025 for a number of months. The reason being they are calling for a common shared Easter for the different Christian denominations.
Week of prayer for Christian unity, we can also draw from the anniversary of the Council of Nicea a call to persevere in the journey towards unity. This year, the celebration of Easter coincides in both the Gregorian and Julian calendars, a circumstance that proves providential as we commemorate the anniversary of the Ecumenical Council. I renew my appeal that this coincidence may serve as an appeal to all Christians to take a decisive step forward towards unity.
Yeah. The significance of him passing on the Easter Monday, how does that strike you?
High significance. I always say this, we can't choreograph the way we go, but if you could, this wasn't bad.
The impact of the decisions at the Council of Nicea have been profound on Christianity. The Nicene Creed and the Council's decisions helped shape and solidify core Christian beliefs about the Trinity, the nature of Christ, and the relationship between the Father and the Son. So what do they hope to accomplish by meeting 1700 years later? The Council of Nicea aims to highlight the Council's historical and theological significance while also addressing contemporary challenges to Christian unity and ecumenism. It seeks to examine the impact of Nicea on Christian doctrine, the Church's self-understanding, ecumenical relations, and interfaith dialogue. Additionally, it aims to explore ways to approach the outcomes of Nicea in theological education and to promote dialogue towards a common celebration of Easter. Obviously, the Pope won't be able to speak at the Council of Nicea 2025, but let's look more in depth at their objectives. Reflecting on the Church's significance, it will provide a platform for scholars, theologians, and church leaders to reflect on the Council of Nicea's impact on the development of Christian doctrine and the Church's self-understanding. They say the event will also address current challenges to Christian unity. Nicea 2025 also aims to foster dialogue and collaboration between different Christian traditions and denominations, with a focus on the common ground shared by all Christians. The anniversary is seen as an opportunity to inspire faith, strengthen mission, and reaffirm the shared commitment of Christians to living the apostolic faith together. The conference will explore the interconnected points of faith, mission, and unity, particularly as they relate to the question of, quote, visible unity within the Christian world. The Nicene Creed will be a central focus, and that goes back to the importance of a shared common date for Easter. From the World Council of Churches website, recalling the significance of the Council of Nicea renews our call for full visible unity, the cornerstone of the ecumenical movement. In a greeting on a webinar, they said, "From Nicea, walking together in unity, the beginning of a new beginning." That's very similar to a text which is supposed to be published this week, where Pope Francis described death as a beginning. They haven't yet clarified what they mean by visible unity. The following is a clip from a lecture from Rowan Williams. It is called Restoring the Image. This video was posted only 2 weeks ago, and it is in a playlist called Nicea 2025.
Christian language not only denies, but actively frustrates the realizing of the divine image and the church's own dysfunctions.
I find the fact he's speaking about an image just as creepy as it looks like the statue is that of Slender Man.
It ordered them to set up an image in honor of the beast who was wounded by the sword and yet lived.
This is an older clip of an interview, but gives you an idea of who's going to be speaking on behalf of Christianity. This is the same man who was in the video you just heard.
I was saying, well, maybe there are areas where some aspects of Muslim law can be recognized or endorsed by the law of the land in such a way that they allow some disputes to be resolved within those terms.
A motion was made at the Southern Baptist Convention to add the Nicene Creed. That motion was not approved. The modern-day location for the Council of Nicea, where they met in the year 325, is modern-day Turkey. A Google search says it can be a valuable stop on a biblical tour of Turkey as it is located in the area of the 7 letters to the 7 churches. In fact, during the conference, they're offering tours to the 7 churches. We had looked in a previous video about the Council of Nicea meeting again in 2025 and how right after this conference, the asteroid Apophis is supposed to be visible. I'll link that video in the description below. I'm concerned as to what Council of Nicea meeting again after 1700 years is going to look like for people like you and me. But I read the Bible and I do know what happens, as I'm sure you do. But I think it's important that we use this time to continue to grow spiritually and seek the Father. We need to do this now.
So yesterday was the day that the Christian world celebrated resurrection, new life, that Jesus conquered death and shares his triumph with us. And then we wake up the next morning to hear that his representative here on earth, the Bishop of Rome, the successor of Peter, our Holy Father, the Pope, had actually passed over, to borrow the word from our Jewish neighbors, from life here to life everlasting. You couldn't have choreographed it better. He was kind of into that.
Oldest institutions on Earth on Friday issued a warning about the future. Pope Francis told G7 leaders that artificial intelligence must never gain the upper hand over humanity. He said AI represented an epochal transformation for mankind.
Or a second beast coming out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. It exercised all the authority of the first beast on its behalf, and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast whose fatal wound had been healed. And it performed great signs, even causing fire to come down from heaven to the earth in full view of the people. Because of the signs it was given power to perform on behalf of the first beast, it deceived the inhabitants of the earth. It ordered them to set up an image in honor of the beast who was wounded by the sword and yet lived. The second beast was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that the image could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed.